Hello, this is a lecture on 10.5 Slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is a very helpful equation that you can use to graph a line. And slope-intercept form is pretty famous. It's the form y equals mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b. And it's the equation of a line with slope m and y-intercept 0, b. Okay, so slope m and y-intercept 0, b. Right, that's slope-intercept form. And like I said, it's useful for both graphing and also just for figuring out the slope and the y-intercept without having to do any extra work. Okay, so let's do an example of one of these. And we're going to just start by identifying the slope and the y-intercept, and then we'll use them to graph. Okay? So, example. Determine the slope and y-intercept of the given linear equation okay, then graph the equation. Then graph the equation. Okay? And what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to open up my math lab, and we're going to take a look at your homework problems. Now remember, your homework problems are not going to be exactly the same as what I see here, but it'll be the same basic idea. So from your homework, if we go to the problems starting on from this homework, problem number 7, we're going to learn how to use the graphing tool. Okay, so this is actually the graphing tool, and here we're going to be using slope-intercept form to graph the equation y equals 5x minus 4. You can always zoom in a little bit if you need to. But first I'm going to do a sketch of the graph, and then we'll go from there. So here our formula is y equals 5x minus 4. Okay? So for problem number 1, we're doing y equals 5x minus 4. And we want to determine the slope and y-intercept first. So remember, if it's in the form y equals mx plus b, which it is, you can literally just write y equals mx plus b below it, and then you can circle what m and what b are. So here we can see that m, the slope, is 5. So the slope is m equals 5. And then the y-intercept we know is 0, b. So that's going to be 0, negative 4. Right, because here we can see that b is negative 4, and then the y-intercept, x is 0, and then the y-coordinate is negative 4 here. Okay, and then we're going to use this information to graph the line. Now first I'm going to graph it as if I were writing on the board. So I'm going to use this virtual board, and then we'll learn how to use the graphing tool in my math lab. So what we've got here is The slope is m equals 5, which is the same as 5 over 1. So this is the rise over the run. So here the rise is 5 and the run is 1. And remember, if the rise is positive, you actually go up that far. So here we're going to be going, our rise is 5 and our run is 1. Well, the positive 5 means we go up 5. And the positive 1 for the run means we go right 1. So the basic way we sketch this is we just go ahead and draw the y-intercept, and then we follow the slope to find another point. So let's see how that's going to work. So let me sketch that here. So we know our y-intercept is 0, negative 4. So x is 0, y is negative 4. So this right here is our y-intercept. Whoops, I didn't shade in the right one. So our y-intercept is 0, negative 4, which is this fourth one down here. Okay, and then to actually graph the line, we're going to follow the rise over the run. So the rise is 5, which means we go up 5, and then the run is 1, which means we go right 1. So we start at our y-intercept here, and we follow the directions. So we go up 5, so up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're actually going to be all the way up to positive 1, and then we go right 1. Right, so we're going to be going right 1 on the x-axis. So that means we're actually all the way up to this point up here, which is 1, 1. So how did I get that point? First, I graphed my y-intercept, which I knew was 0, negative 4, and then I followed the directions. So I went up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and right 1. And that gave me my second point. And now I can go ahead and sketch my line as a straight line through these 2 points. And that's kind of a wavy line. I didn't draw it so great, but it's kind of hard to draw it at this angle. Okay? So there's the sketch of our line. So now how do we do this using the MyMathLab graphing tool? Well, let's take a look. We know that we're going through 0, negative 4 and 1, 1. Okay? So what we do is this is problem number 7. You can click to enlarge graph if you want to. And then you can just kind of use what you sketched and use that as a baseline. So the button you're going to be clicking on is this one right here. It's called the line tool. It looks like a diagonal line with 2 points. So you click on that, and then you want to just go ahead and click the 2 points that we graphed. So the 2 points we graphed were the y-intercept was 0, negative 4, and then the other point that we ended up graphing was after we followed the slope, we went up 5 and right 1. So this other point is going to be 1, 1. So those are the 2 points we want to graph using this graphing tool. 0, negative 4. So x is 0, y is negative 4. And then 1, 1. Notice I'm just clicking on these 2 points. That's 1, 1 right there. Okay? And if you do it correctly, you just click on those 2 points and then you click save. And then that's the whole problem. So the graphing is not that bad once you get used to it. Okay, so now I click, I'm going to click check answer so we can see that. And it says well done, so that means we did it right. Okay? So that's actually using the line graphing tool. And then you have a bunch of problems like this. Some of them are harder because you have fractions. So they're a little bit harder to graph. And in particular, I wanted to do one where it isn't already solved for y. So we're going to actually be doing number 10 here. So here our equation is negative 6x plus y equals 3. So that's going to be example number 2. Negative 6x plus y equals 3. Is that what I just said? Yeah, negative 6x plus y equals 3. So now the tricky thing about this one is it's not written in the form y equals mx plus b. So we actually have to do that first. So what we have to do first is solve for y. That way we'll have it in the form y equals mx plus b, and then we'll be able to figure out what the slope m and the y-intercept b are. Okay? Alright, so what do we got here? We've actually got an equation where we need to isolate y on the left side, so we're going to have to get rid of the negative 6x. So how do we do that? Well, we add 6x to both sides. So I'm going to go ahead and add 6x to both sides. So that's going to give me y equals 6x plus 3. Y equals 6x plus 3. And now it's in the form y equals mx plus b. We can easily see that it's in that form now. So now we can figure out what the slope m and the y-intercept b are. So we can see that m is going to be positive 6, and then b is going to be positive 3. Okay, so our slope is m equals 6, and then our y-intercept is 0 comma b. So here our y-intercept is going to be 0 comma 3. Alright, and just like with the last problem, you basically want to graph the y-intercept first, and then you use the slope, which is the rise over the run, to find another point. Okay, so over here I'll do a quick sketch. So first we graph our y-intercept, which is 0 comma 3. So x is 0 and y is 3. So that's up here. That's our y-intercept. Okay, and then I follow the slope. The slope is 6 over 1, and that's the rise over the run. So here again we have a positive run and a positive rise. So a positive rise goes up, a negative rise would actually go down. But here, because we have positive again, we're going to be going up. So here we're going to be going up 6 and right 1. So our first point that we're starting on here is actually 0 comma 3. Right, that's our first point, 0 comma 3. And then from there, we actually need to go up 6 and right 1. So clearly with my graph, I'm going to give myself some more room. So following the information for the slope, I need to go up 6. So I'm going to go ahead and extend my picture here a little bit. So we need to go up 6. So up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is at 3 right now. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we go up 6, and then we said right 1. So we're going to go right 1 to positive 1 here. So our next point is going to be 9, comma 1. Excuse me, I got them switched up. 1, comma 9. Right, because x is 1 and y is 9. So the 2 points that we're going to be drawing here are 0, comma 3 and 1, comma 9. So we're going to go ahead and open up the line tool again. and plot these 2 points, 0, 3 and 1, 9. So click to enlarge graph, click on the line tool, 0, 3, which is right here, and then we said 1, 9. So that's going to be right there. Then I click save, and then check answer. Nice work. So we did it right. Okay? So those were a couple of the harder ones, but they aren't really that bad once you get used to using the tool. The only other thing I wanted to show you was what happens when you have a negative slope. So let me get to one that's actually got a negative slope. All these are positive. Positive, positive, positive slope. That one was also a positive slope. That's a positive slope. Oh, well, I guess they don't have any ones with negative slope, but I did want to talk about it briefly, even though it's not on your homework, just so that you know. So just know if the slope is negative, so let's say you're doing a problem, not in my homework, but maybe in another homework, and you get a negative slope. So for example, let's say you get y equals negative 2 over 5. Well, how would you do the rise over the run? That's the question. Well, you actually move the minus to the numerator. Okay, so move the negative to the numerator. Okay, so what that's going to mean is you've got y equals negative 2 over 5. So here our rise is going to be negative 2, and our run is going to be positive 5. Well, for the rise, because it's negative, you actually go down. So if you were graphing this, you would go down 2 instead of up 2. If it were positive, we would go up 2, but because it's negative, we go down 2. But the run always goes to the right. So that would be, the run would be going right 5. So it doesn't actually show up on your homework, but I thought I would cover it just in case you were wondering how to deal with a negative slope. Okay.